March is prime basketball time, and I want to talk about it. The reason why March is considered basketball month is just because, of course, March Madness college basketball is here, and that's the biggest tournament of the year in terms of basketball. I mean, I feel like I hear a lot more people tuning into that. I don't think it's the best tournament of the year, but I do think that it's probably the most watched. And then, of course, we have the post All Star NBA where teams are finishing that stretch, trying to get those last few wins under their belt so that way they can reach the postseason and get some good standings in. Now, I do consider myself a casual basketball fan because I do stay up to date on what the news is saying about all of these players and what their stats are, and then seeing some highlight clips here and there about their performances. But I don't really be watching the games day in and day out every single night. And so my coverage on it is kind of looser. And I want to go ahead and talk about what I think about March Madness so far, just particularly one storyline, and then also the MVP race that's going on. I'm your host, Seb, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment down below, what's your favorite sport right now? For me, it's going to be basketball, and I think that most people are going to say that. But if I were to ask, what's your favorite sport all time, I'm probably going to see a lot of football comments. So we'll see what you guys end up saying. But first of all, before I get into the NBA talks, I really want to say huge shout out to Texas because I really thought that they were going to be the Cinderella for this year. And boy, what a bracket they've been through. I mean, I don't know how good these teams are, but just seeing the higher seeds, it means something to beat them. And Texas came in as an 11 seed and they beat BYU pretty handily in that first round. Then they went ahead and beat Gonzaga and they just narrowly lost to Purdue. It was so close. Just wow. Just one more possession went their way earlier in the game and boom, that's all the difference that there is. But congratulations to Purdue for advancing. But wow, Texas, you guys put on a story and I hope you guys are proud of yourselves. Of course, I had to mention March Madness because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have basketball month. But now let's talk about the NBA a little bit. And the reason why I want to make this video is because of the NBA MVP race and how all the discourse is going on right now about who should get it, who deserves it, and all these new articles about people saying oh, I think Jaylen Brown deserves it, or Wemby deserves it, or Cade deserves it. And I just think it's so funny because none of the media stories from every single year line up as to the main reason why people should get MVP votes, right? Some years it's going to be the narrative, some years it's going to be offense, some years it's going to be defense, and some years it's going to be about the standings. And we still have no idea what it means to be the MVP. What does that mean? Of course, this year the frontrunners for the award are going to be Shea, Wemby, Luka, and Jokic. Shout out to Cade and Jaylen Brown. I do think that they've put on great performances to be NBA All-First team, but I don't think that they've been putting up MVP level of performances quite yet. But wow, what a stacked lineup. I mean, if you were to ask me who I think the MVP was, and I didn't see anything other than their stats and their standings, I would say damn bro, this is probably one of the tightest races ever. But I do think that there is a clear frontrunner, and maybe there's a little bit of recency bias in that. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I think it's Luka. And the thing about the MVP is that some years they value offense, some years they value efficiency, others defense, and then your standings. And sometimes it's a little bit a mix of both, right? When two teams are equally as good, then maybe we compare the flat numbers 1-to-1. But I really do think that the award has kind of lost a little bit of its meaning because in the past few years, I don't think they've handed it out to who is the MVP. I think they've just handed it out to someone who has a strong resume and who hasn't won an MVP yet. And I think that's lame. Some people are going to come in here and tell me that I'm biased, and that's because I'm a huge Nuggets fan, right? But I do think that Jokic should have 6 or 7 of these MVPs right now because I think that he really was the better player when Joel Embiid won the MVP. And I mean, shout out Joel because him winning it ended up getting us the chips. So, I mean, sure, man, you can keep that one. But then last year when Shea got it over Jokic, I thought that was also just another I mean, it was close, but I do think that Jokic is the most valuable player. And it's because in my terms, I do value efficiency and impact on the team over your efficiency and your defense and how good your standings are. Because I don't like the argument where it's, oh, well, if you swapped Jokic and Shea, who would lead their teams better? Because it's never going to be a 1-to-1. That's stupid. But I do think that the better argument is, okay, well, without their players, how do these teams do? And some people are going to say, well, that's not fair because Shea shouldn't be penalized for having a great team around them. But I do think that it does reduce the impact of them, because how can you be the most valuable if you're not contributing as much as somebody else is on their team, right? Jokic being on the Nuggets greatly elevates their skill level more than SGA is on the Thunder. And I mean, it sucks to say, but if you're around an all-star cast, like, your value isn't going to be the same. And I think that that's important for when you're looking at the award, because if you're going to give it to somebody who's got 70 wins on the team compared to someone who's got 50, like, that 70 win team probably still wins 60 without Shea, versus like the 50 win team that probably doesn't, I don't know, they might not even make the postseason. And that brings me to who I think it is now. I think the MVP of this season has been Luka. And a lot of that is going to be because of how effective he's been in the past 10, 12 game stretch, where I believe they're 11-1 or 9-1 or some ridiculous number. And Luka's averaging like 40 points per game and nearly a triple double. And that's insane. And it's even crazier when you think about how they started off the season, because I believe they were just a little bit above a 500 team. Like, to start it off, I think they were like 23-20 going into like the All-Star break. I don't know. It was some number like that. It wasn't anything impressive. And of course, they were still top of the West, but the West is going to be the tightest conference in the world, you know? But seeing the resurgence of the Lakers, I believe at one point they dropped all the way down to like 6th place, but now they're a solid number 3 right now, and they don't look like they're going to lose that spot. And a lot of that has been thanks to Luka. I mean, LeBron went down, Austin Reeves went down, but the person who's been consistent throughout the whole year is Luka. And a lot of people don't like him because they say, oh, he's not efficient. Oh, he doesn't play defense. And sure, maybe his efficiency numbers are down compared to the other MVP candidates. But I do think that the whole narrative that Luka doesn't play defense is a bit more of a lie than it is true. Because I believe I saw a stat sometime in mid-March where it said that Luka had the least amount of points allowed per ISO possession, per like 100 ISO possessions, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's a cherry pick stat, but I thought that that was important to note, because a lot of people like to say like he can't play D, but that's a pretty impressive stat to be leading in. And a huge reason why he's been able to have as much of a breakout as he has recently is thanks to the resurgence of Austin Reeves and LeBron James, because both of them were dealing with injuries, and now that they've gotten healthier and are back in the lineup, they're able to have a little bit more impact, and that's also helping Luka's game out. And then also a huge shout out to Marcus Smart, because he's been really quiet, right? But he's doing all of that dirty work. You know, the reason why the Boston Celtics went on that run in 2022 and all of those years around it was because of Marcus Smart's defense. And so him being a huge factor for the Lakers right now is not a surprise, but it's not being talked about as much. And I'm not trying to spread any hate on Shea, because I do think that he is having a fantastic season. Like, it is great by all accounts. But if we're talking straight value and impact on the team, like, I really don't think that Luka's impact is less than Shea's. The only thing that Shea has better than Luka right now is that his team has won more and his efficiency is up. And for a team as stacked as his too, like, how are they only at 57 wins? They might not even get the first seed. Like, the Spurs are right behind their tail. And Luka's over here with a bunch of bums and LeBron James and Austin Reeves. And, you know, they're 3rd place, and Luka's, you know, having a hard carry a little bit. And I just don't see how the argument is there. My least favorite part, though, is going to be the media, because everybody's going to try to discredit their other person and say, you know, they can't be it because XYZ reason, or he has to be it because he's doing ABC reason. But I really do think if we made it consistent about impact and the offense that people can provide, I really do think that the MVP race becomes a lot more clearer in years recently and in years in the future. Because, I mean, those are pretty, like, set standards. And the reason why I don't rate defense as highly is because defense, at the end of the day, defense doesn't matter, right? Like, I could block 100 shots, but if you score 2 more buckets than I do, you beat me by 2 buckets, right? Like, if I can't score to save my life, then how am I supposed to win the game? And, I mean, defense is an important part, but I don't think it should be weighed as much if someone isn't providing as much defense as somebody else when their offensive productivity is like through the roof. And so that's my take on it. And that's what I wanted to say about the MVP race. I'm really excited to see how this last part of the season goes, because I believe every team has about 12 games left. And so it's going to be a really exciting end to the season. And then hopefully we can see a better picture of what the postseason is going to look like. But this West, man, is going to be stacked. And of course, I'm going to be rooting for the Nuggets. I mean, I want to see them repeat, and I think they definitely can do it. But most definitely, I'm going to be rooting against the Thunder because, man, like, Tyrese's Game 7 injury is literally the worst thing to happen to basketball fans because now OKC fans think that they're on top of the world, untouchable. But just you wait, man. You get that right matchup, and you guys might not even make it to the conference finals. So we'll see. Anyways, as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you're enjoying March basketball as I am, and I hope you all have a great day.